Always great catching up with legendary Clemson SID Tim Beret here on the program. 803-450-0086. Again, 803-450-0086. Hope you all are doing well. Text messages coming in. Again, you can hit us up anytime, anyplace, anywhere. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 803-450-0086. 803-450-0086. You can also check out our website around the clock. Put the .com on it. Doggone it. That's ClemsonSportsTalk.com. John in Archdale says, Swanny, according to the Cheez-It Bowl box score, Clemson had 1 sack and 3 tackles for loss. So when you add that to the 448 sacks and the 1,159 tackles for loss on that Miguel Chavis tweet, you get the 449 and 1162 on the Clemson tweet. You know, it's funny because as I was doing it on the show and talking about it, it didn't even register that additional game until afterwards. I noticed on the graphic it showed Clemson tackling Iowa State, and I was like, oh, okay, there it is. So you're right. That's where that number came from. It's not as if Ross Taylor and those guys had to dive through hours and hours of tape to find it. Those were accurate stats on the Oklahoma tweet if you only include the time that Brent Venables was there. Again, for Miguel Chavis, Xavier Brewer, and, honestly, I didn't see, and this is the strange thing, I did not see that on the official Oklahoma account. Like, I looked, I didn't see it. It was strange, though, that would be the thing that those guys would put out, especially Miguel Chavis saying, but we didn't leave the defense in South Carolina. I mean, this has been pretty much an amicable split, I think, in the mind's eye of most people up until this moment. And it's kind of funny because it's two, and look, I don't want to call them irrelevant former players, but it's two former players who, quite frankly, are basically insignificant when it comes down to this coaching change and the coaching move. And if you're Miguel Chavis and or Xavier Brewer, I mean, at some point along the way, don't you want to have the ability to possibly come back home if necessary? Like, why? There's no reason to throw a comment or a conversation towards the state of South Carolina or towards Clemson. Just merely embrace the fact that you have done a great job with Brent Venables, and it's fine to say that. Brent Venables-led defenses have done this. But when the shot across the bow comes towards Clemson, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It really frustrates me, and I can't understand. The old saying, you don't lift it, you don't lift anybody else up by you don't lift yourself up by putting other people down. I mean, that's not how it works. I mean, there's no reason that tweet that came out can't just be the positive side of things from Brent Venables' perspective, and Clemson fans would still be rooting for them, and I'm sure there are a lot of people still rooting for Venables. But Miguel Chavis, Xavier Brewer, I mean, what are you guys doing? Because at the end of the day, you played your football at Clemson. And at the end of the day, if the job ever comes open to get back in Tiger Town and to work, you're going to want to come back. Do you want to carry the weight of what feels like a besmirchment on your program? A shot at Clemson, if you will? I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Everything on this breakup, or whatever you want to call it, seemed to be going swimmingly. And I'll be honest, Clemson could have just let it roll too. That's the other thing. And this doesn't seem like a tweet that wouldn't have to get some pre-approval. I mean, I would think that that would be one that you'd clear. I would not believe that would be a take that just any old person with the Clemson Twitter account and a Photoshop program can come up with and then go, yeah, we're just going to tweet this out. Like, that's a little shout out to Norman, Oklahoma, quite frankly. But I'm okay with it. I'm okay with answering the response. You don't have to always turn the other cheek. You want to answer the bell with a tweet? Go for it. They did. You want to tweet at us and tell me I'm silly to think that way? You can. At Clemson Sports on Twitter, or you could text us, 803-450-0086. So I appreciate John in Archdale hitting us up on that front. Again, it's one of those things that when you're on the air, rocking and rolling along live, your brain can't process all the information. There's bits and pieces that get left out. It's kind of like how when you watch TV and somebody walks across in front of you, and then then they say something in the other room, and you're like, when did you get in there? Your brain just, that bit and piece, it just let it walk right through. So for me, I look at it and I go, Miguel Chavis, what are you doing? Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. We didn't leave the defense in SC. What does men and women lie and numbers don't and not leaving the what does that have anything to do with the fact that you could have just simply put the tweet out? And none of that happens without the players. So Clemson's response was spot on. Hey, you want to put the shine and the sizzle on everything that's happened in Clemson on Brent Venables' shoulders? That's fine. You have every right to do that. But when you cast that seed of doubt towards what's left behind in Clemson, that to me is the moment where a response, if taken, could certainly be checkmarked as warranted. Again, just a weird thing. We talked about it here on the program yesterday. Strange goings on at this point, and a lot of it, again, former Clemson Tiger players who are insignificant in a lot of respects in terms of the big pieces that moved around. You're just a little part of it. I mean, it's like Adam Smotherman going up to Virginia and throwing some shade at Clemson. You need to get back at him. And he didn't. And there's a reason why. It doesn't gain anything by doing so.